Hello, and welcome to our presentation, Journey to Success, How AC Transit Built a Best-in-Class Service Management Ecosystem with Lyell Amora, Innovation and Technology Supervisor at Alameda Contra Costa Transit District based in Oakland, California. Today, we're going to talk about how AC Transit leveraged Boss Desk to improve its operations and become more efficient using our help desk software. We have close to 50 guests registered for this webinar, and we do appreciate your time and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Nicole Benjamin, and I'm the Digital Marketing Coordinator here at Boss Solutions. During today's presentation, we will be highlighting how you can use help desk software across your organization to provide 24 access to your IT department, to create a central repository of IT services provided, and we'll get a sneak peek at AC Transit's strategic IT approach. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer any questions submitted and give away an Amazon gift card. We do have a few housekeeping notes before we get started. Everyone will be muted throughout the presentation, and we do encourage you to ask questions using the Q&A, and we'll answer any questions that you have towards the end of the presentation. Today's presentation is being recorded, and we will email a link to all participants after the presentation. And because we value your feedback, you will receive a very short survey after the presentation. If you would kindly respond with your comments, we would greatly appreciate it. Boss Solutions at a glance. We've been in IT service management for over 25 years. We have received numerous awards and been recognized by leading authorities such as Gartner, Software Advice, Capterra, and many others in categories such as Top 20, Frontrunner, and Category Leader. Our offerings include Boss Desk, a support and help desk solution, which is available both on-premise and in the cloud. We also offer Boss 811, a one-call ticket management solution for the damage prevention industry. Boss Solutions is committed to exceeding industry standards with the latest technology. Additionally, we're committed to providing excellent customer support by providing a US-based support team. Our presenters today are Lyell Amora and Chris Kornkowski. Lyell is a multiple award-winning innovation and technology leader with over 18 years of experience in complex and diverse environments. For the past 8 years, he's been the IT supervisor at AC Transit, leading the IC support team, encompassing the service desk and desktop support functions. Prior to this role, he was the Director of Information Technology at the Center for AIDS Prevention Studies at UCSF for a decade, where he managed all aspects of IT, including end-user support and server network infrastructure. Known for his commitment to providing excellent customer service and ensuring business continuity, Lau brings financial and budget management expertise to the table. His ability to align IT initiatives with organizational goals and his advisory skills in assessing the financial and technical feasibility of new systems makes him a trusted advisor to business leaders. Our next presenter will be Chris Kornkowski, our very own Boss Desk product owner. Today, Chris will showcase areas of Boss Desk that are relevant to AC Transit's success. So I will now open the floor to Lyell Amora and allow him to begin to share his journey to success with us.
Thank you, Nicole, for the introduction. It is so great to be here. Thank you, Baha, and the entire Boss Desk team for inviting me to be a presenter. I'm honored to be your guest for this month's webinar. And thank you all for joining this journey to success webinar. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. So great to see so many attendees. Again, my name is Lyell Amora from AC Transit. Who is AC Transit? AC Transit was founded in 1960 and is the third largest public bus-only system in California. We service the western portions of Alameda and Contra Costa counties in the East Bay of San Francisco Bay Area. We are headquartered, as mentioned earlier, in Oakland, California, also known as a town that professional sports tend to move out of. The Oakland Raiders moved to another state. The Golden State Warriors traveled across the Bay Bridge to the techie San Francisco, and the baseball A's are 1.5 feet out the door as well. At least the Warriors are still local. Oh well. Anyway, today I will take you on a journey of how AC Transit transformed our IT service management environment into a customer-focused IT partner to the business. Before we developed this final solution, there was a foundation built through countless hours and commitment from the project team, which included both IT and business participants. The AC Transit IT vision and mission played a big part in guiding the team to a final product that we felt encompassed our service commitment. I'll also talk about what IT support was like before Boss Desk. What challenges did we go through? I'm sure many of us on this webinar will recognize the challenges. They tend to be a common theme throughout the IT industry. What were the goals when we planned to implement Boss Desk? What were the benefits? Historically, IT was known as a function of an organization that was a necessary evil, a tool the business needed to operate. That has changed drastically over the years. Today, most organizations understand that business success depends on cohesive partnership with IT. Technology is integrated with every part of an organization, every aspect of daily operations. From the mailroom to the executive suite, day-to-day duties do not occur without technology involved in some way, shape, or form. Knowing this, AC Transit took a strategic approach when designing the IT service management environment. Then finally, I'll give you a glimpse into the weeds of the configuration of what I call AC Transit Boss Desk 2.0. Over the years, keeping to the idle mantra, we evaluated and constantly asked the question, how can we be better? How can we continuously improve the service and adapt to our present and future needs? This is our IT vision and mission. The vision, a trusted, innovative technology partner transforming AC Transit. Our mission, we deliver innovative and cost-effective technology products and services that are reliable, secure, and sustainable to improve the transit experience. Two key words here, partner and experience. I will show how the AC Transit IT department emphasized partnering with our constituents and valued their experience and feedback with implementing Boss Desk. Our final product was based on their recommendations. Pre-Boss Desk. How did IT customers get IT's help? I'm sure we're all familiar with these scenarios. Users called the help desk or service desk phone number. They emailed their requests and issues in. And the pre-pandemic favorite, walk-ins and hallway bump-intos. From there, the IT service analyst would gather the information, fill out the request details, and manually create a ticket in our ticketing system. If we were lucky, we'll remember all the details of the hallway run-ins and create a ticket and close it all with all the necessary information that we no doubt recall from the 5 or 6 interactions we've had from walking back from helping another customer or the break room, or sometimes even when we first walked into the building. What is always a challenge to the IT service desk or help desk? Well, in IT in general, resources. I hear the yelling telepathically through all the Zoom attendees. We never have enough, right? Whether it's staffing or tools we need to do our jobs. AC Transit's IT support hours of operations are from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. But the district is a 24/7 operation. Bus operators, dispatchers, maintenance staff, basically our frontliners, the most important workers at AC Transit. Without them, I don't have a job. The Department of Innovation and Technology doesn't have a job. So how can IT assist them when they need help? But how can we if we clock out at 5 p.m.? In the pre-boss desk world, staff that worked outside of normal coverage hours would call or send an email after hours. Of course, no one is responding. They send an email message or leave a voicemail. So the following morning, my team would review the messages and tickets would be created and assigned to the corresponding team. Then we try to contact them in the morning after they have been working all night. We leave them a message and play tag for the next few hours or even days. This can be very frustrating for a customer, understandably so. Automation and workflows, or I should say lack of automation and workflows. Automation workflows were non-existent. Everything was manual, from team and agent assignments to categories for each ticket type. It was both an administrative overhead and very tedious. Asset management was also not very accurate. This has gotten better, but I'll be honest, it's still a common theme throughout the IT world. But at least we have a common repository and are working to improve it. These are some goals and benefits we aim to strive for when we implemented Boss Desk. We wanted to provide our customers with 24/7 accessibility to IT. The current resources, IT coverage outside normal office hours were impossible. How can Boss Desk help accomplish that? Pre-Boss Desk users did not know what IT services were available, or staff just knew what their department used or needed help with. Sometimes users wonder what IT is doing and don't understand why it took so long to fix or even respond to a call or email sent in. An IT service catalog can help with that. When I'm in a meeting with other departments to discuss a project or to answer technology questions, every once in a while someone would say to me, "I didn't realize you guys were involved that much in this project or that project." Or someone would blurt out, "No wonder you guys are busy." Over the years, ticket volume has spiked, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. So we hope to increase efficiency and utilize IT staff's time more productively. Implementing automation and workflows using the Boss Desk easy to follow logic will help IT improve on that. Now, after all is said and done, how do we show that IT is doing all this work? How do we show the business that IT support and customer service priorities? We're looking forward to diving into the Boss Desk reporting engine and see how we can visualize KPIs and metrics to assess how we are doing and focus our efforts based on what the reports show. Once we had our final product, we were very happy with the result. But are we done? Do we never have to go to the settings anymore and make adjustments? Of course we do. We all know that technology can change and evolve overnight. We want our IT service management system to adapt and change as needed. We'll see how Boss Desk can be flexible and adapt to our needs. In 2019, the AC Transit IT leadership decided to develop a formal IT strategic plan. This led to focusing our priorities based on business satisfaction and importance. In this slide, there are two graphics. My apologies if they are hard to see. I just wanted to share a couple of things and point out the highlighted areas. On the left, there are the results of an IT satisfaction survey with the management of every department at AC Transit, including the CEO, general manager. For the many core IT services we provided, the importance of IT support and help desk by all the departments was ranked third overall. The right shows what each department viewed as what IT should prioritize and focus on. 7 of the 10 departments listed the IT support help desk as one of the top 3 priorities, with 2 departments listing it as the top priority. So even before implementing Boss Desk, we knew we had to put in place an IT service management solution that we can deliver everything we needed to do. No pressure at all. We started putting together focus groups that involved multiple departments. We scheduled meetings to set expectations and the time commitment needed for a productive conversation, and followed up collaboration to gather feedback and implement improvements. We also know our customers. Our IT support team is the face of IT, so we hear and see everything. We hear what people think about IT or what they think about a current implementation. Knowing this, we invited the most vocal and opinionated users to participate in our beta testing. We wanted to hear what they did not like about certain things. One of the best things I could experience working in IT is when I run into a habitual, disgruntled customer who does not have anything good to say about IT, and over time become one of the biggest proponents and cheerleaders for IT. That is such a great feeling. So the more of that type of customer you invite to be part of an implementation, the better. The more information you can gather from them, the more you can identify what to improve. We then created a questionnaire for a focus group to report their experiences and preview what we created. We developed a step-by-step test script for them to follow and provide feedback on what they found helpful and suggest what could be better. We collected the data from the questionnaire and created a SharePoint site to post the results. This allowed us to show our progress and show that we implemented any suggestion that the group agreed upon. We asked about the overall look and feel. Was it intuitive? Are the descriptions correct, et cetera, et cetera. Each beta tester scored them accordingly. After collaborating with the pilot group, we launched the district's first customer-facing IT service catalog. Earlier, I mentioned BOSS 2.0. The project team discussed so many service categories. First edition was very IT-centric. What I mean by that is we had categories that only IT people understood. For example, there was an Active Directory accounts category and ticket form, but to a customer, that doesn't really mean anything to them. They don't understand what that is. So we had to step back, look at the mind map of all the categories we wrote down, and then peer through the eyes of our users. We consolidated some things, we changed the descriptions of others, various system accounts categories turned into just accounts or network/email. We also have a bunch of specific internal website applications as well as SaaS applications, SaaS systems. We separated them and put any internal web application into the same service category, AC Transit web apps, and so on and so forth. The final product was a comprehensive list or repository of all the services we provide. We put business critical systems on the front page, even though they could be categorized as software. This allowed users to come to the self-service portal to see the system they need help with right away and not have to dig too deep for it. We have so many subcategories, we don't have time to go through all of them. So today, I will show you our hardware support subcategories. We differentiated between laptops and desktops, peripherals and printers, etc., copiers. An AC Transit staff can request a new desktop or laptop, or if they need a new mouse, or if they need to replace a broken one or report an issue with one of their peripheral that's attached to their computer. Let's go through submitting a desktop support request ticket. When the IT customer clicks on the desktop support request graphic, he or she will get to the service catalog form. There's a requester field. If left empty, the requester will default to the person that is logged in. However, it is common for a requester to be a colleague creating a ticket for someone else, especially if that someone else's computer is inoperable and they need someone else to help them, to enter it in for them. They would enter the other person here. There are three types of requests in this scenario: a new desktop request, an update or change, or something is not working correctly. Depending on what is chosen will determine what kind of ticket is created. Also, at the bottom of the form, you'll note that's stating that a manager approval may be required for new hardware requests. If a user selects new desktop, this will kick off an approval workflow, which we will mention on the next slide. The workflow for this particular ticket analyzes the conditions to set the ticket as a service request. A new desktop request or update or change determines it as a service request. What not is shown is if a user selects new desktop request, we have a separate workflow that creates an approval to the requester's manager. This approval workflow is separately configured and triggers when there is any new hardware requests, including peripherals, mobile devices, etc. If a user selects something is not working correctly and needs help, the ticket is created. The ticket that is created is an incident, and the priority is set to medium. This is the default for all IT incidents for AC Transit. And the ticket is assigned to the IT support team to validate the request and provide initial support. This also sets the SLA relative to the priority. AC Transit also has other systems that can create tickets based on email notifications. This example workflow kicks off when our endpoint protection solution sends a detection event email for an issue found on a server. We have configured the notification to have certain words in the subject line. BOSS will recognize that subject line and create a ticket based on that and assign it to the appropriate IT team, in this case, the network engineering team. Earlier, I mentioned reporting. We find Boss Desk canned reports as is are very informative, and give us actual numbers and data that quantify how IT is doing. These reports are very helpful when IT occasionally presents to the executive staff. This data is also included in an annual strategic plan update presented to the board of directors. It shows the total volume and closed tickets for the year and results from satisfaction surveys. One key metric for me that I like to point out is the first call resolution, or FCR, shown here on the lower right. I find that this is a key metric that is related directly to customer service. It may seem obvious to us, but to see it in an actual metric is very telling. I asked Boss Test for something like this a few years ago, and they have been great to come up with a solution soon after. Actually, I found that for the most part, in anything we ask for, if it makes sense, Boss Test has come through with exactly what we need or something very close to it. Service level agreements, or SLAs. The top of this slide is our internal SLA threshold standards. We came up with these thresholds based on our environment, which seems to work well for us. It may be different for yours, so keep that in mind in your planning. In Boss Desk, we can replicate our standards very easily. Just entering the values we wanted to put in took only minutes. The other two graphics are notification templates sent to the agent for warning in a breach. The notification goes to the agent as well as the agent's manager. Pre-Boss Desk, there was no warning, just time ran out, it was a breach. Having a warning was very helpful. It can alert the agent who may have been busy, see the warning, and remind them to contact the requester or address the ticket immediately. Very customizable and very easy. Boss Desk comes with many but customizable settings and built-in reports that we can use, continue to improve every day. In addition to self-service tickets, we also have created several scheduled daily preventive maintenance tickets. For example, one is for a daily print server check. We have assigned to the technician check server CPU utilization, memory usage, check print queues for stuck jobs. Another is to check our cybersecurity health in our endpoint protection software and address non-critical alerts. We have scheduled reports sent to IT management, including customer satisfaction, SLAs, aging tickets reports, etc. We implemented Boss Test to fit AC Transit's IT service management needs, using mostly out-of-the-box settings with minor tweaks. And when the standard settings were not enough, Boss Test's flexibility to integrate with other systems was a game changer for us. The Dell warranty check integration is useful for us to immediately see how much time we have left on a computer's warranty, anticipate when a replacement is needed. Other tools we use have created custom adapters using Boss Test's robust API stack, which creates more automation and increases efficiency. We also have artificial intelligence in our environment that uses Boss Test's APIs to create, update, and close tickets automatically based on user interaction. There are so many ways that Boss Test has streamlined a lot of our process. I look forward to experiencing what else we can accomplish with Boss Test. This concludes my presentation on AC Transit's journey to improving IT service quality. I hope you found it informative. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, Lyle. At this time, Chris Kronkowski's going to come in and he's going to share his perspective and insight on how Boss Desk is utilized and relates to areas of your presentation today.
All right, thank you for the introduction, Nicole, and thank you very much, Lyle, for your presentation. A lot of great points in there, and I'm just going to continue on with some of the things that Lyle has mentioned as far as functionality within Boss Desk that can help accommodate some of the items that he talked about. So a couple of the main things that he was mentioning as far as customer-facing service related to the service catalog within Boss Desk. For those of you who aren't familiar with the terminology in Boss Desk, service catalog refers to our system that manages the custom forms that your users can fill out in order to submit specific types of issues. There are several views. You can set this to as default. One of the views is the one that Lyell was showing, which is where you have a set of simple categories that you can click on and go, and that then take you to a set of forms, and then you click on a form and fill out the form from there. The other option is, of course, to have the full view where you can just go through the entire list of forms and pick the one you want. Depending on the size of your organization and how many different specific requests you want to allow, you may wish to use one default or the other. But one of the important points he touched on was that the categories of tickets that make sense to your end users are not always the categories that make sense for storage of tickets and reporting. For that reason, Boss Desk actually has the ability to present a different set of categories to your users than it does to the technicians, so that you can store your tickets, sort your tickets, and report on your tickets in the categories that make sense from a technical sense, while presenting your forms to your users in a format that makes sense to them. And that's done by splitting our categories into two separate types of categories called the service catalog categories, which are the ones that are displayed to the users, and the ticket management categories, which are the ones that are used to sort the tickets once they're created. We connect these together via workflows. So when you fill out a form, it gets submitted into it comes in from the category that the user selected, but is submitted into the category that the technicians need. So just to dive into that a little bit further, our forms are 100% custom. So while we offer you 34 or so templates out of the box when you come on, which you can edit at any time. You can also create your own forms. You can modify the existing forms. You can get rid of them and start from scratch. Entirely up to you. But with these forms, you can actually come in here and just edit them via drag and drop to match whatever requirements you need. That means that not only can you come in here and choose what the options are within a particular drop-down field, you can actually rearrange, delete the form, create one from scratch, however you would like, just by picking the types of fields you want, dragging them into the box. You can give them a name. You can choose whether they're mandatory or optional. You can choose whether they can be used in workflows. And my personal favorite, the conditional logic function, which allows you to hide or show sets of fields based on the answers given in other fields in the form. What this lets you do is take a really complicated form and make it look really simple, and only show any of the more complicated fields if the user selects an option that really needs that additional information. Otherwise, those fields are hidden, and the form is as simple as you can feasibly make it for the user that is filling out a particular issue. So once you submit one of these forms, it passes into our workflow engine. Lyell was also mentioning how these workflows work. So you can do all sorts of things with the workflows, but the most common thing you would do is say, I would say when a ticket is created and it comes from a specific form, in this case, they're all called service requests. So let's say it came from the purchasing request form. So I go service request is purchasing. Then the actions I want to do is I want to set the default category, and I want to set that into the hardware category. And I want to set the default team, and I want to put that to the we're going to put that to the support team. And I want to set a default priority. And I'm going to set that to medium. Now that form actually had a checkbox though that allowed you to check a box if this was an emergency or not. So you could go in there and say, set this priority to urgent, but apply that only if the box was checked where that form submission was an emergency. So you can make things automatically classify as higher based on selections made in the form. You can also do it more subtly than that if you don't want to give the users direct access to prioritize their issues. You could instead make it so that based on which type of issue they selected out of a dropdown, like they said, network outage, for instance, that's a high priority thing. If they select network outage, you can automatically classify that as a higher priority without allowing the user to directly set the priority of their issue. Because I know some people in some organizations are going to say, well, if I let the user set the priority of their issue, everything's going to be a high priority. And that does depend on your organization and the training level of your typical user. So some people may want to configure that differently than others, but that is an option that you have. So once all these are sorted out and create tickets, of course, many of you are familiar with the tickets themselves. They come in, they're already sorted to the category, team, and agent. Everybody who needs to be involved is notified. It can automatically assign it to a particular user. Set the status. As Lyell mentioned, the SLAs automatically define a due date for the type of issue. You can create custom forms as, custom fields as needed that are for technician use only. And those can be either per category or they can be global for all tickets. And then you can come in here and work the ticket. There are some AI functions that we are starting to offer now, but that's going to be the topic of a technical demonstration that we've got going on next week. But for now, I'll just say we are going to be offering some large language model AI integrations coming very soon that can help you answer some basic questions automatically. So once these are created and you've got your tickets in the system, another thing Lyell mentioned was that it was important to have reports so that people in the organization could see how busy your team was and how much work they were doing, so that if you need to request more resources, you have ways to show how much work your team has been doing. And with that, and to do that, we have a set of pre-canned reports. So the most common ones are going to be your ticket summary reports, which are going to give you breakdowns by category, priority, type, source, team, assignee, distribution, and all that. You can also get closed ticket timelines, which can tell you how long on average your tickets are being, how long it is before they get closed. And we can show like a weekly line graph, how many tickets are getting closed per week. And let's put that in monthly, and let's do, we actually want that daily, and you can get a line graph here of how many tickets are getting closed each day, and that's a report you can send out. But then we've also launched a new canned report called the Executive Summary Report, which gives you numerical overviews of all tickets by categories over a period of time, ticket aging, how long they're staying open on average. It also gives you a breakdown of how many assets are getting worked on, and a breakdown of your satisfaction survey results as things have gone over that span of time that you specified. So this is the kind of information that you can bring back to your management team and say, here's the kind of work our department's been doing. As you can see, they've been doing X amount of work, but we need more resources because we're now getting this amount of incoming work. Or conversely, the opposite, if that's something you want to show. So in addition to the canned reporting, we are planning on, if you keep up with our webinars regularly, and especially our Tech Talk webinars, within the next few months, we will be demoing some new reporting functionality. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be related to integrations with external reporting tools as well. So with all of that being said, that is just a brief overview of some of the functionality that we have available in BossDesk. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over for audience questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you so much, Lyell. That was excellent. That was really good today. I think we all just learned a new point of view. I think we all have a fresh perspective on the advantages of implementing BossDesk. And yes, next we do have a few questions that were just submitted. Everyone else, please feel free to use this time to submit any questions you have using the Q&A box, and we'll make sure your questions get answered right away. Our first question for Lyell, what was the biggest problem that you had to overcome when you were implementing Boss Desk?
And Nicole, thank you for the question. The biggest problem for us to overcome was actually just, you know, promoting Boss Desk to the customer, because they didn't have a customer facing tool that they can interact with IT yet. So getting that adoption and realization that we do offer this service was a little bit of a challenge. And so I think that was the biggest problem that we had. And then I mentioned in my presentation some of the I touched on a little bit about the categories. That was something that was, I think, we can the IT department can, like, kind of not say take fault, but kind of look and had to think deeper on, okay, what do we want to project to our users, and to remove all these text centric words and terminology that we had to make more understandable from our users. So that was basically those two things that were probably the most difficult.
As a marketer, I appreciate that focus. Thank you so much for that answer. I think the next question we're going to jump over. I think this is for you, Chris, from Jesse. Thank you so much for logging on today. Can you talk a little more about your AI integration? I know you're planning to talk about it on next week's Tech Talk, but can you give a little more of a sneak peek or a little more information there?
So actually, I want to get some clarification from Jesse, because I know that Lyle mentioned that he had an AI integration
Mm,
as well that he was
okay.
using. I mentioned an AI integration separately. Which one
Mhm.
did you want to hear about?
For Lyle. All right, you're off the hook, Chris.
Of course.
Lyle.
Um, all right. Thanks, Jesse. We have an AI chatbot that's integrated with our Teams, and we also have it on our intranet widget. So users can log into Teams, and they have the bot um, as an icon to choose. And our bot's name is Amy. So people would ask it questions, and see, and they can open up a ticket directly with Boss Desk there, with the, like I said earlier, with the AI hooks
Mhm.
with between our chatbot and Boss Desk. And also it can um, give you status updates of a ticket or whatnot. So we had, for our users that are we're in teams mostly for throughout the day, so that to have access to it is really key for us. But also we wanted to offer it into another area in our intranet on our SharePoint site. When they first get on, it would pop up just like when you go to somebody's website, and there a little box just pops up. It'll ask you questions. It first has to validate you for us, of course,
Mhm.
and using that API integration, it'll ask questions, and it can uh, review the if you have a knowledge base in your Boss Desk environment, it can push that information and point to to the article that we're referring to within Boss Desk.
Mhm.
And also, if we have our knowledge base configured properly, um, it'll have a step-by-step thing. If you, for example, I need to reset my password, it'll send you a link to our knowledge base, and it'll walk you through those steps of doing within our system. We use our single sign-on vendors, Octus. We use them to reset their own password. So um, that's pretty much it. It's just basically, you know, those two areas where we wanted to project to our users where they're most commonly needed to have access, so that kind of fits into our accessibility goal of being able to reach us without being on the clock, so to speak.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for that, Lyell. I think that was very detailed. Um, Jesse's following up. He says, and then I've also seen, excuse me, I've also seen in the updates that there is a new AI update. So I wanted to ask about that as well.
Okay, so that sounds like it's gonna be a me question. So I don't want to get too deep into this before our demonstration next week on our Tech Talk, but just as a brief overview, we are integrating specifically with OpenAI, and we're rolling out a closed beta currently of an integration that is currently with ChatGPT, but will eventually be leveraging a little bit more of OpenAI's functionality using their Assistance API, which has a few more tools than the standard ChatGPT available. What this is going to do is, just like Lyell mentioned, it is going to be able to read through your knowledge base articles, and it's going to retain that as an internal knowledge base. And then the initial release of the closed beta will have an option for a workflow function, or rather a workflow action that you can set up for your incoming tickets, so that certain incoming tickets, which obviously you can specify conditions in your workflow, which ones it replies to, it will be able to automatically provide comments on that ticket based on either information from your existing knowledge base, or from its, giant training set that OpenAI has provided it, which gives it a lot of basic IT information. So basically, it can answer any sort of basic IT questions, as well as it can answer questions out of your knowledge base and provide links to the relevant knowledge base articles. But beyond just providing links to the knowledge base articles, it actually can digest those articles. So if you've got a huge article on how to configure like 10 different things, and they only ask about one part of it, it'll just give them the part they asked about. Conversely, if they have submitted a broad problem to you, but it's it's just like a broad IT related issue, like my computer is running slow, it can give them a set of troubleshooting steps that they can take to try and resolve the issue on their own, and then give them the option to reply back to automatically forward the ticket over to a live agent. So that's we will be going through some use case scenarios on that next week.
Very good. Well, I have another question here about workflows, but I think you touched on a lot of it, probably all of it, but I think we want to hear from Lyell. The question is, how intuitive do you feel the Boss Desk workflows are? And did you need a lot of assistance to get them to function as desired?
I think I feel like they were very intuitive. My team was able to create, the workflows as needed pretty quickly. In the beginning, I think we reached out to Chris a couple of times about some workflows, and he helped us out. But other than the beginning, we were able to grasp it and hit the road running after just the initial, couple sessions with Chris, and after that, it was, kind of just ballooned from there.
Hands-on. Very good. All right, we have a question from an anonymous attendee. Thank you also for joining us today. The question is, can a form be embedded on another page/website?
So that is not a function that's currently supported by the Boss system, because you have to be logged into the Boss Desk system in order to submit the forms, because when you're logged in, it validates that you are who you say you are part of the internal organization, and it has all of your contact information on file and submits it with the ticket. You can link individual forms on external pages, but it will still require authentication to actually log in and submit those forms.
Got it. All right. All right, Lyell, jumping back over to you. How has your feedback been from users? I'm going to
Feedback has been
recircle
good.
back to that.
Sure. Feedback has been great, actually. The users have come back, and several have just reached out to me directly and say, hey, this is great. This is a good thing that we have. I can when we can't reach somebody, we can go up to the service catalog and open up a ticket. But also, they were, commented on the communication emails that we get, the notification. We had to tweak our communication so we don't get any email fatigue. But once we've got it right, our communication with our users is done primarily through the ticket itself. Every once in a while, they'll go out of it and send us a direct email, but for the most part, the communication they liked about it. They liked the approval I mentioned in my presentation. The approval process, the approvals created, just sends a note to the manager or the approver, and they just click on a link and approve it or deny it. And they thought that was very very simple. And they also like the customer satisfaction survey. We didn't have a customer satisfaction survey that was more than did you like it or not, an up or down. They liked the questions. They liked the and it wasn't too long. It wasn't a long survey. It was just 4 questions. They just clicked on it and then that was pretty much it. And then that was one of the the high points of they like to provide the feedback. They didn't know how to do that before.
All right, let's see. That's very good. I've got questions coming in. Can you share your survey questions? I'm not sure. We are going to email a survey to all attendees after the webinar. And we're also going to make sure that you guys have a link to the webinar so that you can view the webinar and have this information for follow-up as well.
I think they're asking about the survey questions that I did, maybe.
Probably, because I didn't.
Yeah, there is. There he
She's
is.
like,
So
yes, yes. Thank you,
sure.
Tony. Thanks for
All
clarifying.
right.
Go ahead, Lyle.
Tony, we had the other. There's 2 of them that I posted on my presentation, but we actually have 3 questions and then a comment field. So the first question we had: how would you rate your overall service experience on this issue? And we have 5 answers, possible answers: exceptional, good, bad, okay, and then unacceptable. The other question was: how responsive and timely was the service? And the same options. And to what extent do you agree with the following statement? The service made it easy to handle my issue. And that was it's strongly agree, strongly disagree, disagree, and partly agree. And then there's a comment field of folks to add their additional comments if they want to give a opinion or rate the service agent that helped them.
Perfect. And Tony, if you want to follow up with that, if you have any follow-up questions or want to connect outside of the webinar, feel free to let us know as well. I think I have one other question that I see here. So if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to submit them now using our Q&A box. The question that I have, the last question here is, do you have plans to achieve any other improvements or expand Boss Desk any further across the company, Lyle?
At this time, I'm curious to see more about the Boss Desk version of AI. I know I mentioned we already have one in place, but I wanted to see what I'd like to compare and I want to see what future that you have, because we know that this past year AI has been a big buzzword in technology. So everyone's jumping on it and trying to figure out what's the best way that we could benefit all of our environments and businesses. So I think that's something I want to look forward into. One of the other things that I wanted to, I might have asked Chris this before is, and I should have mentioned this in my presentation is, there is an out of office feature that was in there that
Yes.
my staff love, because when they're out of the office or on vacation or out sick, they can put into the out of office section um, in Boss section that tickets would not get routed to them automatically. They would be bypassed until they come back and then when they're marked that. But in addition to that, I was looking to expand on that to have possibly that agent schedule in there. So the time schedule, for example, I have shifting several shifts, the ones from 6 to 2, 7 to 3, 8 to 4, so that maybe the round robin feature can, round robin for the people that are working, that are on site. So that, someone that's doesn't come in until 9 doesn't get a ticket that's at 6 or 5 assigned to them, and it'll already be a few hours before they can look at it. So that's just one feature that I'm looking for, maybe that we can improve on. Look for if that's in the plans or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's actually possible with the existing setup, but we can have a separate call for that. Basically, you can leverage the workflows related as well as the what are they called? The business hours functionality as you need to leverage the business hours functionality, the Teams functionality, and the workflows functionality working together to set that up. But you can make it so that it only round robins to people who are on the clock.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so we can have an offline call about that, see if that setup will work for you, or if you need an improvement, and we can work from there.
That's good.
Excellent. All right. I don't have any other questions submitted at this time. So again, as a reminder, the slide deck is going to be available after the call. The recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel. It's going to be posted under resources on our website. So at this time, we're going to proceed, and we would now like to announce the winner. I mentioned this earlier for our $50 Amazon gift card. So let us kind of dig through our attendees here today. The winner of today's gift card is lucky Tony Fernandez from the city of Lathrop, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Congratulations to you, Tony. We hope that you use that on something special. We do thank you, Tony. We thank everybody who logged on to our call for joining us today. Lyell, a special thanks to you. Special thanks to you, Chris. We invite all of you to contact us with any additional questions that you have. And please respond to that survey that I mentioned earlier with your feedback about today's webinar. If you have any questions, if you need to follow up, we're always on standby. So thanks again for your attendance. We appreciate all of you, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.